Okay, I promised I'd come back and explain this whole gate business, yeah? Let's look at that now. Okay, well, you know how it works. Every time you put a note into a step of the sequencer, you get this ladder underneath, and primarily this is the velocity. Less, more, alt left click to reset. But we can drag these ladders horizontally in either direction, and then we're changing the gate or gate time. And this is basically the note length of the note on the step. Okay. Now by default, the width of this ladder, the note length, by default fills the entire width of the sequencer step. So if your sequencer's at the default resolution of 16ths, then every step of your sequencer is a 16th note length, and every note you input is a 16th in length. The notes fill the width of the step. The steps are a 16th, so the notes are a 16th in length. If we solo the kick and export the pattern, only the kick notes will be active in the exported pattern. Let's have a look. And there's the 4 kick notes, look. Each one a 16th in length. And you'll see all the notes for the voices in the pattern are all a 16th in length. Apart from some of the notes which have been automatically shortened by swing, like on the hi-hat here. Yeah, on the hi-hat, every other note on the even steps has been pushed back in time off its vertical line by the swing. So these notes have been automatically shortened so they don't spill into the next hi-hat note. And the last hi-hat note there and the last snare note both have swing pushing them back in time off their vertical line. They've been automatically shortened so they don't spill outside the pattern. But apart from some notes shortened automatically because of swing, all the notes are a 16th in length. As you'd expect, because currently the Ultrabeat sequencer is set in the resolution of 16ths, where every step is a 16th and every note you input is a 16th in length. Okay? Okay, that's the first bit you need to understand to get this whole gate thing. The second thing you need to understand is one aspect of the synthesis. Now we're doing the synthesis in the next chapter, and don't worry, it's not that hard if you understand the basics. But to understand gate, we must understand this 4th envelope here for the voice. Okay, every voice has 4 envelopes, and the 4th envelope is fixed and dedicated as the amp or amplitude envelope for the voice. And this envelope controls the attack time of the voice, how long it takes to come in when it's triggered, and the decay time of the voice, how long it takes for the voice to completely decay to silence when it's been triggered. Alright? So, in the case of this kick drum, gate is off, the default. If the kick is triggered by these 2 little 16th notes on the 1 and the 9, every time it's triggered, the kick lasts as long as the amp envelope decay, which is currently set to a second. So it takes 1 second for my kick to decay to silence, and I get a long booming kick lasting 1 second. Yeah, so if I set this to half a second, the decay time, now it takes half a second for my voice to decay to silence, etc. So in normal mode with gate off, when your voice gets triggered by the default length notes, the note length is irrelevant. Okay, once the notes trigger the voice lasts as long as the amp envelope decay before it decays to silence. So you can have a long decay time, giving you a long booming voice, medium decay time, shorter, a short decay time, shorter still, or a very short decay time. Yeah, this is how long your voice lasts. Okay. And your voice can never last longer than this amp decay time, this amp envelope decay time. Alright. Now if your voice is playing a sample, let's say that sample lasts 1 second, and every time that sample is triggered you want that sample to play all the way through till the end. Well, if the sample lasts 1 second, then your amp envelope decay has to be set to 1 second or higher to allow enough time for the sample to play all the way through till the end before the amp envelope decay shuts the voice down to silence. Okay. Okay, so this is how long your voice lasts when it's triggered. And that's the normal way that Ultrabeat works. Gate is off, the little notes, normally a 16th in length, the default, trigger the voice, and every time it's triggered it lasts as long as the amp envelope decay. The note length is irrelevant. And that type of triggering is called one-shot triggering, and it's the default type of triggering for every drum machine, software or hardware, going back to the year dot that I can think of. Because with drum machines, you see, you have different drum samples in the drum machine have different lengths. You've got long samples like cymbals, and you've got short samples like rim shots, you know, like that. Now you don't want some ridiculous situation where you have to have different note lengths for different samples in your sequencer of your drum machine. What you want from a drum machine is that the drum machine sequencer part of the drum machine stores little tiny short notes, which saves memory. Okay, and those little tiny short notes trigger the voices, and then the samples play back all the way through till the end. So the note length is irrelevant. That's called one-shot triggering, and that's the default for all the voices in Ultrabeat usually. Okay, but we can put our voice into gate. Now once you're in gate, the note length controls the playback time of the voice up to the maximum set by the amp envelope decay. Okay, your voice can never last longer than this decay time, but within that time, once you're in gate, the note length controls the playback time of the voice up to that maximum decay time. So if I put my kick into gate and I have a little 16th note and a long 6/16th note, now the note length controls how long my kick lasts. So I get a little short stabby kick here lasting just a 16th in length, and I get a long booming kick here lasting 6/16ths in length. And if we look at the exported pattern, there's the two notes, look. The little 16th note and the long 6/16th note. Yeah. So there you go, that's gate. Gate is basically note length to playback time of the voice. Now this gate technique on a sampler, the first time you'll have heard a gate technique being used on a sampler where note length controls how much of the sample plays back. The first time you'll have heard this technique being used would be on an early pop or breakbeat track, such as, well, the most famous example would be Paul Hardcastle's 19. Okay, you have a vocal phrase of someone saying 19. You put that in your sampler. You switch your sampler into gate, so the note length controls how much of that vocal phrase plays back. Little short notes trigger just the beginning of the phrase. N, n, n. Hold the key down on the sampler, you get a long note which plays the sample all the way through, 19. So you go n, 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 n. Hold down the note, 19, like that. Yeah, I'll show you that. Here I've got a vocal sample. It's me saying, come on. Now the vocal sample lasts a second, so I've got my amp envelope decay set to just over a second to allow enough time for the sample to play all the way through till the end when it's triggered before the amp envelope decay shuts the voice down to silence. Gate is off, so the note length is irrelevant. This little 16th note triggers the vocal sample and it plays all the way through to the end, lasting 1 second before the envelope decay shuts the voice down. Come on! Come on! Yeah? So it lasts a second and it decays to silence on about the 9th step. But if I switch the voice into gate, now the note length controls the playback time of the sample, or the voice. Right? So I've got two little short notes and a long note lasting 2/4 beats. The notes control the length of the sample that plays back. So I get two little short k, just triggering the beginning of the vocal sample, and then the long note lets it play all the way through. Come on. So I get k, come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Or I could do it differently like that. I've got two short notes, a medium and a long note. The notes control how much of the sample plays back. So I get k, come on, come on. Come on, 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 come on. And there's an example of that sample re-triggering technique with gate, where the different triggers of the sample last for different lengths of time according to how long the note is. Yeah. We'll be revisiting all this, by the way, in the next chapter when we look at everything to do with playing loops, because we'll look at loops in the next chapter about sounds and synthesis. Okay, so there you go. That's one way you can you can use gate to do these gate sample trigger techniques. Another way you can use gate technique, note length, to play back time of the voice is on your melodic patterns. Now remember this from the previous bit? Yeah, I've got my little synth voice being triggered, and in step I add pitch information, change the oscillator pitches on these 3 steps, and it gives me a pitch melody. Okay, now at the moment my voice is set with gate off, the default, so every time these 16th notes trigger the voice, it lasts half a second, the amp envelope decay time. So all the note lengths in my pattern are the same. Then I add in the pitch. But I can enhance my pattern by switching to gate, and then I can use different note lengths in my pattern, like that. Okay, now the first and last note are longer at a quarter beat in length. So I get long, short, 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 long. Boom, boop, 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 boom, like that. Then add in the pitch information, and I've instantly enhanced my pattern by having different note lengths. Now if you're working in gate, you set your note lengths here, and then you switch to step to put in your pitch and other step information. Okay, you don't lose the gate information. When you switch this switch, you're simply changing the display. Okay, so now I've enhanced my pattern with different note lengths. Long, short, 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 long. Yeah, well, I can make it different. I could do it like this. I could have a longer note there and there. Now I get short, long, short, long, short. But boom, but boom, but like that. Add in the pitch. And again, my pattern's been enhanced with different note lengths. And of course the velocity works with the note length as well. You use them both at the same time. So I could have a louder long note there, a quieter long note there, and I could make that one a bit less loud. And now I've added different note length and velocity information into my pattern. Add in the pitch. And I've further enhanced my pattern by having not only different note lengths but different velocities as well. Yeah. Okay, so there's another way you can use the gate to get different note lengths in your melodic patterns, and remember to try these techniques with drum and percussion sounds as well. Don't only try these techniques with synth type voices. Always experiment, okay? And of course when you reset these ladders with Alt left click, you're resetting the vertical velocity and the horizontal gate or note length at the same time. Alt left click resets both. Boom, 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 like that. Okay. So there you go, that's gate. It's note length to playback time of the voice. Okay, I'm going to show you one last thing in this little bit now, because it's related to gate, because it's how the voice triggers. The trigger mode itself. Here, look. By default, it's set to single. Now to show you this, I'm going to use this vocal sample voice again. Me saying come on. Gate is off, note length is irrelevant, the little note here triggers the voice, it plays all the way through to the end, up to the maximum time set by the amp envelope decay, 1 second, just over. Come on! Right. Now, the voice takes till the 9th step to decay to silence. Come on! If the voice is in trigger mode of single, and another note comes along before the previous note has finished its decay, then the new note cuts the previous one out. Come on! The previous note is not allowed to finish its decay. Come on! But if you switch to multi, then if this note here gets triggered and it hasn't finished its decay, when the next note comes along, it doesn't cut the previous note out. The previous note is allowed to finish its decay, and the new note overlays on top, and you hear them both. Come on! Yeah. Now, by all means, use multi from time to time to get special effects in your patterns, but don't overdo it, because then you just end up with loads of clutter. All right? Because it layers the different notes in the pattern for the voice. Yeah. Okay, so that's trigger type, single and multi. Single's the default. Notes on the sequencer cut the previous notes out. Come on! Right. Okay, so there you go, that's gate and trigger. And let's finish off this chapter now by looking at the last couple of things.